What's up, guys? Welcome to Locker Room Talk presented by Noob Sports. I'm joined by Nick Hasselman, one of the kids I used to coach back in the day. Not a kid anymore. I'm getting old. He's getting old too, but I used to coach him back in his high school days of Bryant football, now playing tight end there. Very happy to have him on the show. Nick, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing good, man. It's great to catch up. Now, we kind of got linked back up because you're playing against Marist this week with Jake Anapol, who was the first guest on Locker Room Talk. First of all, I got to ask you, how you feeling about that game? You used to play with Jake back in high school for a little bit before he transferred.
Yeah, excited. Like I said, like Jake, he and we weren't just teammates. Like he was one of probably the only kid in the grade below us who I actually hung out with outside of football in school. Like we got along well, so it'll be good to see him again.
Yeah, definitely. Now, hopefully he gets in the starting lineup. He got some time in his first college game, so that was cool. And then got brought back in. They got beat bad by Columbia, though. I mean, they went up 14-0 on Columbia, and then Columbia scored 30-something unanswered points to beat them. So it was not a great day. But hopefully you guys have a little better game with them. So let's talk about you. You're obviously from Connecticut. You went to Xavier High School, my alma mater. I love Xavier so much. Great place. But just tell me a little bit about your upbringing and where you're from.
Yeah, so I'm from Portland, Connecticut. It's right across the river from Xavier, Middletown. Growing up, like no one in my family ever really played football. My dad talks about playing youth for like a couple of years, but never really played. And I told my mom when I was 6 years old, I was like, oh yeah, I want to start playing football. And she thought it was like crazy and whatever. But she brought me, and the first day I showed up, and it was like I was 6 years old, and at the time there was eight levels of people practicing on the field at that time, and she thought it like wasn't going to be for me, and I was like, no, like I want to do this, and started playing tackle football at 6 years old. I just fell in love with it right from there. I played every year, and then 7th, 8th grade came around, mostly 8th grade, and Portland High School at the time, if you went to Portland High School, you don't play football. They didn't have a co-op. They didn't have their own team. They had nothing. And I kind of started to realize, like, it's hard to tell when you're obviously in youth, but I kind of realized that this might be something that I was decent in youth. So I was like, maybe I could pursue this and be decent in high school. So obviously I knew about Xavier. My parents, it was never like a plan for me to go to Xavier, but I think I was one of the very few kids at Xavier who like actually wanted to go. Like I knew I wanted to go there to play ball, and I ended up getting the opportunity to go. And freshman year, the freshman coach first day of conditioning wasn't even practice yet. I was still going to 8th grade at the time, and we already started summer conditioning. And the warm up was 4 laps, like just trying to scare people off. We ran almost a mile for warm up, and yeah, I loved it. And ended up playing freshman football. I was actually the captain my freshman year, which is kind of crazy. And I was playing quarterback at the time. And it was more like we had multiple plays, but the one play call we always did was bunch left or right with the running back leading, and I would just run the ball. And I remember the coach one game, we called that play 7 times in a row, and he called 2 timeouts in between. And he's like, we're calling this until you spring it for a touchdown. And it was like 7 yards, 8 yards, tackle for a loss. And then finally we sprung it against NFA. So that was awesome. But, and then played varsity football. Some of my best memories, playing college football now is great. But I think a lot of us would say that, you'd still choose those Friday night lights, playing in front of your high school over a lot of college games.
Yeah, 100%. So I want to talk about quarterback a little bit because I know you, obviously, you're a physical kid. You love to hit people, right? Playing quarterback. I mean, I know you were doing a lot of running, but what's it was like playing quarterback versus playing defense in high school for you before you made the move to tight end in your senior year, right?
Yeah, so I think I probably was one of the only people in Connecticut high school football that played quarterback on offense and Mike linebacker on defense. Like they didn't really compare, but talking with like the coaches about quarterback during quarterback indie, and it's like they're talking about reads, read the safety, talk about where to throw the ball, and it was like I either wanted to air it out deep or I wanted to scramble. There was no I think it was pretty clear early on that I didn't really have a future playing quarterback. It was just My dad taught me how to throw a football when I was young, and we always threw football. So I was one of the only guys that could actually throw a football well, or good enough, I should say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I couldn't so when I was coaching you, you weren't playing quarterback, obviously. Maybe we had a few packages, but I just could not see you playing quarterback in the sense of you want to hit people, man. There's a lot of quarterbacks out there who aren't physical. So now you ultimately, your senior year, you end up going to Bryant. I know you wanted to play linebacker, but you're playing tight end there now. How is the transition going from tackling people to blocking and catching the football?
Yeah, so I talked to multiple different colleges along the way, and it was everyone was, okay, yeah, you're a linebacker, but Bryant was the only school that was like, you're a tight end. And, I had a lot of film catching the ball from my junior and senior year, obviously playing with Levis. He's such a good quarterback, he could throw it to anyone. So I guess the film made me look all right. And so, yeah, we get here, and it was just, playing offense. You knew how to play offense, but you didn't. Everyone in high school thinks they know how offenses work, but you don't know anything until you sit down with a college coach that their entire job is to just scheme. And yeah, I did a lot of blocking. I do a lot of blocking now, a lot more. So the way our offense, whatever, tight ends, fullback, same thing, but my specialty is definitely more the fullback side of it. I do a lot more blocking and a lot more short passes in the flat, out of the backfield, stuff like that.
Now, you can still be physical blocking people. I'm sure you've realized that, obviously.
Yeah.
You think you can be as physical blocking someone as tackling someone?
Oh, I think you could be more physical blocking someone because, you go to tackle and it's like you're worried about wrapping up. You're worried about getting in front of them, and blocking. It's like, most of the time you're going to be in a gap or you're going to know where they're going, and you go initiate the contact and punch. And there's really no punching and tackling. Blocking, you get it's so much. And then there's the drive them back, and it's just like a fight the whole way. It's not like you just go to the ground.
Yeah, definitely. Now, for me, I always hated tackling people. I love protecting. I hated tackling drills. I love protecting the quarterback. I love getting after people in the run game, knowing where the running back's going, knowing what my job, just executing it. So, I totally understand that. I think you can be just as physical playing the offensive line or playing tight end or fullback as you can playing defense. So a big topic I touched on with Jake on the show was training camp, college football training camp, how tough it is on your body. So I want you to think back to when you were a freshman, right, coming in for your first camp, and just give me that experience, what you remember from it.
Oh, I remember it so well. Showed up. First day we got here was you meet the coaches and you go to put your stuff away, and then you automatically right away you have the conditioning test, and had the conditioning test. And I remember the next morning just waking up right got to be at breakfast for 7, and it was wow, this is going to be tough. And then it was every single day got tougher and tougher because you didn't have any time to go hang out or just do whatever you want by yourself. It was always you had somewhere to be. But sorry,
You're good, man. I'm gonna take some water with you. I want to see if I can help.
But yeah, I didn't like it. I remember calling my dad multiple times and saying, this isn't for me. I don't want to do it. And he would always ask me the same questions, so you're quitting. And whenever he said the word quit, I didn't like that. Yeah. So I kept telling myself, all right, I'm going to make it through this season, and then I'm done. I'm never playing again. And, of course, as time went on, it got harder physically because you were beat up. You took a couple hits, but it was easier mentally. And you got in the routine, and then the game started. And you really only practice 3 days a week, 2.5 sometimes. You got your install on Tuesdays, continue it Wednesday, and then Thursday you're just in helmets. So it's it's not really that hard of a schedule. It's not easy, but you get used to it. And glad I didn't quit. Very glad I didn't quit.
definitely. So for me, it's like I remember I got this like big packet, like you get a 30-page packet with your schedule on it from whatever August 1st to August 30th. I don't know the dates, but it's like that. Was the hardest thing was mentally just staying in it, knowing like, okay, I'm here now. It's like this is what I'm doing. My day is planned out for the next 30 days, and it's like mentally it's hard when you think about the big scheme of things. It's nothing, but you've gone through really 2 camps. I know you're a junior, but the COVID season kind of pushed camp to the spring, right?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even really camp.
Yeah, it wasn't really camp because you're doing class and stuff. But how was your junior camp compared to your freshman camp? Just knowing, like going into it, what your body's about to endure, the schedule, and all that.
Yeah, so the summer, like leading up to it, I'd say for my freshman camp, I was more excited, and then camp was way worse. And then leading up to my junior year, I was like dreading it so much, and it was it was easier. It was just, I mean, obviously the schedule wasn't easier, but just dealing with it, knowing when things are, looking forward to the off day, and then once the off day comes, looking forward to the next off day, but just not really like when you're at practice, not just thinking, oh, like, when is this going to be over? It's like when you put like the competition part in, like, okay, if I'm going to play this year, I need to win this rep and I need to win the next one. And it's like you get your mindset on something, you get focused, and you just keep rolling. And it's a lot easier.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like you go out to practice thinking, all right, I got to be perfect in this today. I got to do this right, do this well. And when you really like dial in, it definitely goes a lot quicker. When you went from the varsity level or the freshman level to the varsity level in high school versus going from your senior year of high school to your first year of Division I football, how big was the speed difference? Were they comparable, or is like going from high school to college a lot worse than going from your sophomore year to your freshman season, your sophomore season?
I think that like in high school, your freshman year, it's like so slow, and then you go to varsity and it's like fast, but you get used to it like relatively quickly. I feel like I think the jump from high school to college is far faster. It's not like I always think about, in high school, like trying to, I just think about like practices when we would practice, like they'd say, all right, you got to block this guy. But then like when you go to college, it's like, okay, you need to take this step and this step right away, or else the guy's going to already be past you. And it's like, you just have to focus on the little things so much more just to be able to not even be able to dominate, just to be able to like compete. So I think the speed is, the size, but I think the speed is by far the biggest difference.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I remember my first couple practices in pads, it's just like I snapped the ball and the defensive lineman's by me. I'm like, how did that just happen? Like I just blinked and he was by me already. And but you know what? You get used to, like you said, your freshman year training camp versus your junior year. It was like, it was easy because not easier because you knew what was going to happen going into it. So I think like a big thing that we see on the internet or whatever on YouTube is just like life as a Division I athlete, like Division I athletes filming what their day is like from the start to the end. So walk me through like your toughest day of the week.
Tuesdays. So yeah, tomorrow should be fun. But we got lift at 6:30, which goes for like an hour. Lift is fun. I love lifting weights, so it's fine. It's hard to get like when that alarm goes off and then it's cold walking over there, you're miserable. But then you get warmed up, you're fine. Then you go right from there to breakfast. And then I got to get to class right after at like 9. So I got two classes from like 9 to 12:15, and then go to lunch, go back to my room for, I don't know, a couple minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And I do use that time to sleep, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's huge. And then we have, starting like 1:45, 2 o'clock, we have meetings, special teams meeting, team meeting, and then we break off unit and position until like 3:30. And then we go to practice, like treatment, taping. Well, not really treatment, more just like taping, getting ready for practice, and then go into actual practice. And then after practice, you're pretty much let go. Sometimes you stay after a little bit, do some other stuff. But then by the time you get back to your room, well, depending, if you go eat right after, by the time you get back to your room, it's like 7:30. And That's like seven. It's you're so tired you just want to go to bed or watch a YouTube video and chill. But that's like when all the homework starts. So a lot of other people can do their homework during the day, but we can't. So we have all of it at night. And I mean, obviously that just depends on what you got going on or how well you manage your time. But usually you don't get to bed until I don't know, or even get done with your homework until close to 10, and then it's just if you want to stay up and chill out, then you're gonna be tired for the next day. So it's just go to bed and call it a day. Just do that all over again the next day.
Yeah, I mean, people think you see it on Saturdays or whatever. You see it during the week or in the games for different sports. It's like, oh, everyone wants to be a Division I athlete, but nobody wants to do what Division athletes got to do, right? Just the amount of time it takes to prepare your body, to train, to know your schedule, to get your classwork done. I mean, you're doing a full-time job playing football and a full-time job in school, so it's definitely not easy. What are you majoring in?
I'm a finance major, so finance, and then I have concentration in data analytics. So I'm way more interested in the investment side of finance. I love everything about investing. I invest all my money that I can, and I follow that all the time. I always have it on my phone looking at what's going on. So actually this year is the first year that we have classes like pertaining to our major. So talking about investing and stuff makes the day go by faster.
Awesome. Now, what you into cryptocurrency at all?
Yeah, I'm big into cryptocurrency.
What crypto is going to the moon? Let me know. I need help with this, so you can be my
Cardano and Chainlink.
Why are they going to the moon?
Cardano is the third highest market cap, and September 12th they just released their smart contracts, Alonzo. So they've already have a bunch of people using them, and it's one of those ones that, and then obviously like you go on Wall Street Bets or something where just like talk about the meme stocks as they call them, and it's turned into one of those where everyone's talking, but this is the one. So we'll see.
I like that. I'm gonna go all in on that, and I'm gonna blame you when it blows up. All right. So we talked about school, we talked about football a little bit. I want to talk about what you're interested in outside of football. I know you're a big hunter, a big fisher. Yep. Is there anything else, or is that what Nick Hasselman wants to do when he's not playing football?
Not playing football. I either want to, hunt, fish, investments, and trucks. I love my truck too. I'm big into watching stuff about trucks, learning about trucks.
Awesome. Yeah, I remember you talking about the truck. You bought the truck, right?
I actually just bought a new one last year. So it was when we got sent home from COVID. I bought a new truck because we were home. So I was just making all this money. I was working construction like 50 hours a week. So I had money to buy a new one.
Yeah. I remember you had like the gun rack on the back of your truck at Xavier, right?
Yeah.
I can't bring it to school with me.
Yeah, no.
That wouldn't be good. So hunting, fishing wise, within that, what's your favorite thing to do? Favorite animal to hunt, favorite fish to catch, all that?
Duck hunting by far. I do a lot of duck hunting, all waterfowl really, ducks, geese, sea ducks. If I'm home, which is pretty rare, but like Christmas break, every morning, it's 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, getting up, going, getting set up. Yeah. I love that. I don't know why, but I do. And then fishing, big into trout fishing in the spring. Just the environment with trout fishing. You're in the middle of the woods, usually in like very small streams. So you're just out in the middle of nowhere with no one around you. It's just, that's the one I find most interesting.
Definitely. Now, when did you get into the hunting, fishing?
Hunting, we get into it the second Saturday in October for a week. It's only open for a week, and then it closes until second Saturday in November, and then it's open for 2 months. Actually, deer season, archery just opened up in Connecticut on September 15th, but I deer hunt, but it's boring. I don't know why I do it. I do it for the meat. I like deer meat.
Yeah. Now, I remember you had a story. It involved one of our former teachers at Xavier. Weren't you like, you don't have to say the name, obviously. Weren't you like hunting in the backyard or something? Like,
yeah, so there's a spot in a nearby town where it's legal to hunt. Everything about it's legal, but there's the people in that community around it. It's a swamp. It's down in like a bowl, so it echoes like crazy. And there's like one road right there. So I just remember him talking in class about people illegally duck hunting, which wasn't illegal, but we would wake him up bright and early every Saturday morning, and he didn't know that he was talking to someone right in front of him who did it.
You know what, though? All these teachers preaching like, hey, you got to wake up early, you got to do your homework, got to do everything right, be a man, blah, blah, blah. Xavier, man, you're just giving them an alarm clock. That's all you're doing.
Yeah. As soon as half hour before sunrise hits, he'll be up.
There you go. All right, so got a couple questions remaining here for you. When we look at college football, and I think college football, obviously, I played football, so I'm a little biased towards it, but there's no sport like it in the sense of you're beating your body up, the mental, the physical, the grind, in and out every single day. You only play one game a week. I mean, you think about it this way, you go into college football at a minimum at the 1AA level, or the lowest amount of games. The minimum games, let me think, 44, right? 11 times 4 years. All right, where basketball, baseball, you're playing hundreds. So we look at football, it's a grind, man. What's it like on Saturday when you get to run out of the tunnel, wherever you're playing at, whether it's a Bryant or at a road game? It's like all that work. Is that worth it going into Saturday for that rush?
It's crazy. It's like, especially home games, I feel like, because everyone wants you to win. When we went away to Akron this past weekend, we're driving like through the tailgates, getting in there, the buses, and they weren't happy to see us. They were, they made it very clear they didn't like us. But it's just, I mean, that's actually kind of cool too. Sometimes that's even better. Seeing people like want you to do bad, it makes you want to do better. But it's awesome. There's no feeling like it. I always say that. It's like, sure, when you get older, you could throw a ball around, you could whatever, but you're never going to get that feeling again. So I love it.
100%, man. Just like the Friday Night Lights too, same thing there. It's like there's nothing like that either. And I think that's something that I like to tell high school athletes too that might never get a chance to play at the college level. It's like, this is special. Like, go out, enjoy it right now, enjoy the now, because you never know when it's going to end, right? All right, final question for you. Ready for this?
Yep.
Think about someone who's struggling right now, going through a hard time, whether it's an athlete or not. I think athletes have great perspective on life because of all the hurdles you got to deal with being an athlete in college, right? Think about someone going through a hard time. What's your advice to them about getting through it, and then not only getting through it, but thriving at the same time?
I think the biggest thing is that wherever you are, like, it could all, like, someone has it worse than you. So, if you're going through a tough time, someone's going through a harder time, and there's always so much room to grow. It's like, if I compared it to like stocks, like, think about it. If you're down, there's so much room to grow. So it's like, you got to look like, it's like buying the dip. Like, even when you're down, that's when like you turn it up. And that's like, don't look at it of how low you are. Look at it as like, wow, look how much I can grow, and just kind of just capitalize on that.
Love that. Spoken like a true numbers guy, true finance major. I love it. All right, well, Nick, man, thanks for joining me. I want one final thought. What's your score prediction for this weekend when Jake Anapol or when you guys go to Marist this weekend?
100-0. Good
100-0.
guess. There
you go. Love it. So that was Nick Hasselman, guys, tight end, Bryant football. He's a junior. Check him out. Nick, if anyone wants to connect with you, where can they do that?
Follow me on Instagram, nick.hasselman.
There you go. I will link that in the description below for everyone, guys. Nick, thanks for joining me, man. Make sure you check out noobsports.com, Sports 2.0 Network, for all our content with our college athletes that we're interviewing here on Locker Room Talk. Have a great day, and we will talk to you next week for another episode.